Welcome to another drawing from Let's Have Fun Drawing Together. Let's dive right into today's story.
Yoda and the Lost Temple of the Force. Chapter 1. A disturbance in the Force. In a galaxy far, far away, long before the rise of the Empire, Jedi Master Yoda meditated inside the grand halls of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. His small, green figure sat perfectly still, eyes closed, listening to the whispers of the Force. For many years he had trained young Jedi, teaching them patience, discipline, and the way of the Force. But today, something felt different. A disturbance rippled through the Force like a stone thrown into a still pond. Darkness grows, I sense, Yoda murmured to himself, his long ears twitching. He stood, leaning slightly on his wooden cane. Whatever this disturbance was, it needed to be investigated. Yoda walked towards the Jedi Council chamber, where Mace Windu and Master Plo Koon awaited him. Master Yoda, Mace Windu greeted. We have felt it too. Something stirs in the outer rim. Yoda nodded. An old presence, hidden in shadow this is. Investigate, we must. With that, Yoda prepared for a journey, one that would take him to a forgotten world and an ancient secret lost to time. Chapter 2. Journey to the Unknown. Yoda boarded a small Jedi starfighter, its sleek silver exterior reflecting the stars. His trusted astromech droid, R3-T7, beeped excitedly as they launched into hyperspace, heading toward the remote planet of Typhonus, a world once whispered about in ancient Jedi texts. Legends spoke of a lost temple of the Force, hidden deep within the dense jungles of Typhonus. If there was a disturbance in the Force, Yoda believed this temple held the answer. As the ship entered the planet's atmosphere, thick clouds swirled like a storm brewing in the Force. The jungle below stretched endlessly, filled with towering trees, glowing blue plants, and rivers that shimmered like liquid silver. Yoda landed near an ancient ruin covered in vines and moss. He stepped out, his small feet barely making a sound on the damp ground. The air smelled of old stone, rain, and something unnatural. Careful I must be, he whispered. Danger I feel. A deep growl echoed from the trees. Yoda was not alone. Chapter 3. The Shadow Guardians. From the shadows, 3 enormous creatures emerged. They were unlike anything Yoda had ever seen, part beast, part darkness itself. Their glowing red eyes locked onto him as they circled, their jagged claws scraping the ground. R3-T7 beeped in alarm, but Yoda merely smiled. Hungry you are, yes? He said, twirling his cane. Or perhaps guarding something? One of the creatures lunged, but with a swift leap and spin, Yoda flipped over it effortlessly, landing gracefully behind it. He extended his hand, using the Force to push the creature gently backward. The beasts snarled, but they did not attack again and ate him. Instead, they lowered their heads and stepped aside, revealing a hidden stone doorway covered in Jedi symbols. Yoda nodded. Test of wisdom this is. Harm not. Only understand. With a wave of his hand, the stone door rumbled open, revealing a long, dark corridor leading deeper into the temple. Yoda stepped forward, ready for what lay ahead. Chapter 4. The Trials of the Lost Temple. The ancient temple was silent, except for the faint hum of the Force. The air was thick with history. Carvings on the walls told stories of Jedi Masters long forgotten, warriors who had once trained here before the temple had vanished from history. But Yoda could feel it. The temple was testing him. Ahead, 3 doorways appeared, each glowing faintly. A deep, booming voice echoed from the walls. Choose wisely, Jedi. One path leads forward, the others to ruin. Yoda stroked his chin. Test of knowledge this is. He closed his eyes and let the Force guide him. He felt warmth from the middle doorway. Not heat, but light. Without hesitation, he stepped through. The room changed instantly. Yoda now stood in a wide chamber where a golden crystal floated in midair, humming with power. A Kyber crystal. This is, he murmured, of God. But before he could take a step closer, a dark figure materialized before him, hooded, faceless, radiating the dark side. You do not belong here, Jedi, the shadowy figure hissed. Yoda stood firm. "Test me, you will?" The shadow lunged with a red-bladed lightsaber, but Yoda was faster. His green lightsaber ignited with a snap hiss, and he flipped over the enemy, striking with precise, graceful movements. The duel was fierce, but Yoda's wisdom and mastery of the Force outmatched the darkness. With a final strike, the shadow dissipated into mist, the crystal glowed brighter, and the temple began to tremble. Time to leave it is, Yoda mused, grabbing the golden crystal and dashing toward the exit. Chapter 5. A Lesson for the Future. As Yoda emerged from the temple, the jungle seemed brighter. The disturbance in the Force now calmed. The beasts that had once guarded the entrance now watched him with respect. Back on Coruscant, Yoda presented the golden Kyber crystal to the Jedi Council. It was a relic from the past, a reminder that even lost knowledge could be found again. Mace Windu nodded. "You have restored balance, Master Yoda." Yoda chuckled. "Restore balance, always we must. The Force, ever-changing it is." And so, Yoda's adventure on Typhonus became a lesson for all Jedi, a lesson of wisdom, patience, and the endless journey to understand the Force. Chapter 6. Visions in the Force. Late at night, as the twin moons of Coruscant cast their glow over the Jedi Temple, Yoda sat in quiet meditation within his private chamber. The golden Kyber crystal floated before him, pulsing softly with energy. He had sensed something unusual about this crystal from the moment he retrieved it, a secret yet to be revealed. As Yoda closed his eyes and reached out with the Force, a sudden wave of visions flooded his mind. He saw a distant planet, its skies stormy, its mountains jagged and dark. He saw a hidden forge, where Jedi of ancient times had once crafted lightsabers unlike any seen before. And then, he heard a voice, faint, whispering, calling his name, "Master Yoda." "The crystal is not yet complete. The past must be restored." Yoda's eyes snapped open. He gripped his cane, his mind racing. If the vision was true, then the golden Kyber crystal was not just a relic. It was part of something much larger, something forgotten by time. An answer I must find, Yoda muttered. And so, another journey began. Chapter 7. A Mysterious Message. Yoda approached Jocasta Nu, the wise librarian of the Jedi archives. If anyone knew of ancient Jedi forges, it would be hers. The lost Jedi forges? Jocasta Nu mused, adjusting her robes. "A rare subject, Master Yoda. They were believed to be destroyed centuries ago." "Destroyed, perhaps?" Yoda said, tapping his fingers together. "But forgotten? No." Jocasta Nu's eyes twinkled with curiosity. "There is one record. A fragmented star map is found in an old Jedi outpost on Jedha, but the Council deemed it too incomplete to be useful." Yoda's ears twitched. "Incomplete? Useful. All knowledge is." Jocasta Nu retrieved a holographic projection of an old star chart. The map flickered and glitched, but a location pulsed in the outer rim, a remote, uncharted planet named Vandor Core. "Unknown this place is," Yoda murmured, "but silent. The Force does not stay." Chapter 8. The Journey to Vandor Core. Yoda wasted no time. He boarded his Jedi starfighter, setting course for Vandor Core. As he entered hyperspace, the golden Kyber crystal glowed brighter, as if guiding him toward its true home. The planet loomed ahead, its surface covered in endless ice and deep crevasses. But Yoda could feel something powerful beneath the surface, something ancient. His ship landed on a frozen plateau, winds howling around him. Using his cane, he trudged through the snow until he saw it. A massive temple carved into the ice, its stone doors cracked but standing strong. "Ah, waiting, it has been," Yoda whispered. As he reached out to open the entrance, the ground suddenly shook. A deep, rumbling sound echoed through the air. And then, from the shadows, a guardian appeared. A massive, four-legged beast covered in glowing ice-blue fur stepped forward, its eyes locked onto Yoda. It looked ancient, yet its body radiated the Force. A protector you are," Yoda said, gripping his cane. "Test me, you will?" The guardian let out a low growl. The trial of Vandor Kor had begun. May the Force be with you. Chapter 9. The Trial of Vandor Kor. The ice-blue guardian stood before Yoda, its glowing fur illuminating the frozen landscape. Its eyes, deep and knowing, studied the Jedi Master with quiet intensity. Yoda, small but unshaken, met its gaze. A trial, this is, Yoda murmured to himself, gripping his cane. The ground trembled as the creature took a step forward. Then, without warning, it let out a low, resonant howl. The sound was not one of aggression, but of challenge. Yoda closed his eyes and reached out with the Force, feeling the creature's emotions, its purpose. He understood. This was not a battle to be won with a lightsaber. This was a test of wisdom. Yoda slowly set his cane down and knelt in the snow, bowing his head in respect. Speak, I will not. Listen, I must. The guardian tilted its massive head, as if considering his response. Then, in an instant, the storm around them calmed, and the wind, once fierce, fell silent. The guardian took a step back, revealing something beneath the ice, a hidden path leading downward. Yoda stood and gave a small nod. Passed, have I? The guardian let out a soft rumble, perhaps a sign of approval. Without another sound, it turned and vanished into the swirling mist. Yoda took a deep breath, then proceeded down into the forgotten temple of Vandor Kor. Chapter 9. The Temple of the Lost Jedi. The deeper Yoda descended, the warmer the air became. Ice-covered walls soon gave way to smooth stone corridors, their surfaces lined with inscriptions in an ancient Jedi language. He ran his fingers over the carvings. Long ago, the Jedi were artisans as well as warriors, he read aloud. Here, the first Kyber forges were built, not to create weapons, but to shape the Force itself. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber, where an enormous golden anvil stood in the center. All around it, the walls shimmered with embedded Kyber crystals. Blue, green, purple, even white and black. But Yoda's eyes were drawn to something more remarkable. A massive golden crystal, unlike any he had ever seen, floated above the anvil. His own Kyber crystal, the one he had retrieved, began to glow and pulse in response. Connected they are, Yoda whispered. He stepped closer, but before he could reach the crystal, a voice echoed through the chamber. You were not meant to find this place alone, Jedi. Yoda froze. He turned, eyes narrowing. From the shadows, a tall figure in dark robes emerged. The air around them grew colder, heavy with an energy Yoda had not felt in centuries. A Sith? No, something older. Chapter 10. The Shadow of the Past. The figure stepped forward, revealing a mask made of obsidian, lined with silver veins. Their voice, neither fully male nor female, carried an eerie calm. You seek the truth of the Kyber, little Jedi, but do you truly understand its power? Yoda remained still, gripping his cane. Power? The Jedi do not seek, he said, only balance. The figure let out a soft chuckle. Balance? They repeated, and yet, your order forged weapons from crystals meant to sing with the Force. Did you know, Master Yoda, that once, Kyber crystals were used for more than just lightsabers? Yoda's ears twitched. Tell me, you will? The figure gestured to the golden anvil. This forge was not built for Jedi alone, they explained, before the Sith, before the Republic, before even Coruscant had its first temple. The ancients understood the Kyber's true nature. It is not merely a conductor of energy, it is a living bridge between the Force and all life. Yoda listened intently. The golden Kyber you hold, the figure continued, is not a weapon. It is a key, and you are not the first to seek its purpose. The chamber darkened, as if the very air had turned heavy. Shadows stretched unnaturally. But there is a price for knowing the past, the figure warned. Are you willing to pay it? Chapter 11. The Choice. Yoda's grip tightened on his cane. He could feel the pull of the Force, the weight of history pressing upon him. Knowledge is a gift, Yoda said slowly. but also a burden. Choose wisely, one must. The figure nodded. Then let us see if you are worthy. In an instant, the golden Kyber crystal flared to life, filling the chamber with blinding light. Yoda felt himself being pulled into something deeper. A vision, a memory, a test. The past was about to be revealed. Chapter 12. The Vision of the Ancients. Yoda was no longer in the temple. He found himself floating in a vast, golden void, surrounded by an endless sky filled with twinkling stars and swirling nebulae. He could feel the force flowing around him, powerful yet peaceful. Then, the vision began. Before him stood three ancient beings, their forms shimmering like mirages. They wore robes of deep crimson and gold, and their eyes glowed with the light of Kyber crystals embedded in their foreheads. "Welcome, traveler," one of them said in a voice that echoed through the stars. "You seek knowledge of the Kyber," another continued, "but knowledge is not freely given. It must be understood," the third one finished. The scene around Yoda shifted, revealing a grand civilization. Not Jedi, not Sith, but something older. He saw beings shaping Kyber with their hands, crafting not just lightsabers but entire structures, artifacts, even living things infused with the Force. He saw mountains rise, rivers glow, and cities built from crystal itself. But then, darkness fell. The sky turned red, and the once glowing Kyber cracked and shattered. As a fam. A great war began, one not between Jedi and Sith, but between those who sought to guide the Force and those who sought to dominate it. "This knowledge was lost," the first being said sadly. "Hidden, buried beneath war and time," the second whispered. "Until now," the third finished, staring directly into Yoda's soul. A final vision flickered before him. An image of himself, standing before the Jedi Council, holding the golden Kyber. Would he reveal what he had learned, or would he keep this secret forever? The vision shattered like glass. Chapter 13. The Guardian's True Identity. Yoda gasped as he snapped back to reality, still standing in the temple. The golden Kyber floated gently before him, its glow pulsing softly. The masked figure had not moved. "Saw, I did," Yoda murmured. "The truth of the Kyber. The power of creation and destruction." The figure nodded. "And now you understand why it was hidden," they said. Yoda narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" Slowly the figure removed their mask, revealing a weathered face with silver eyes and deep, ancient scars. "I was once Jedi," they said. "But I chose exile to protect this secret. The Order was not ready for such knowledge. Not then. Not now." Yoda felt a deep sadness in the Force. "The Jedi too focused on war they have become," he admitted. "But lost, all hope is not." The figure studied him carefully. "If you take the Kyber, the Council will demand answers," they warned. "Some will seek to use it as a weapon. Others will bury the truth, as they did before. What will you do, Jedi Master?" Yoda looked at the crystal, feeling its weight, not just in his hands, but in his soul. "Trust in the Force, I must," he whispered. Then, closing his eyes, he reached out with the Force and let go. The golden Kyber rose into the air and, as if guided by an unseen hand, returned to its resting place above the anvil. A deep hum resonated through the chamber. The temple sealed itself once more, ensuring that its secrets remained safe. The masked figure gave a knowing smile. "Wise you are, Master Yoda!" With a final nod, they faded into the shadows, becoming one with the temple's mysteries. Yoda sighed. He tapped his cane against the ground, turned, and began his long journey back to his ship. He had learned much. But some truths were not meant for war. Some truths belonged only to the Force. Chapter 14. A Lesson for the Future. Back on Coruscant, Yoda stood before the Jedi Council. "The mission, Master Yoda?" Mace Windu asked. The small Jedi Master slowly shook his head. "Nothing, I found," he said. Only ice and echoes of the past. The council exchanged glances, sensing there was more to the story. But they did not press. Later that evening, Yoda sat alone in the meditation chamber, gazing at the stars. He knew that one day, a Jedi would come who was ready for the truth, perhaps a Skywalker, perhaps a student yet to be born. But until then, he would wait. And he would protect the balance of the Force. Young Jedi, remember, bravery comes in many forms, and sometimes, the greatest battles are won with understanding, not conflict.
Thank you for watching. Watch another video on our channel. Let's have fun drawing together, where another unique character embarks on a new adventure.